Hello, readers. It is Monday, and I saw a couple of threads of tweets on Twitter that I've been thinking about for the past few hours, so I thought I would pop in and do a Monday musings, because it's Monday and I'm musing. So in the interest of time, I'll leave the Twitter threads in the description box, because you don't have to have read those to see where my thought process is going. So I said there were two things that these threads got me thinking about. The first of which was cultural and linguistic explanations in text. This is probably something that I've talked about before, because it is something that as a monolingual English speaker, I feel very, very passionately about. Part of what that means, culturally and linguistic explanations in text, just simply in the most clear-cut example, is the translation of words from a home language into English in a mostly English text. And I have very strong feelings about this because the idea of insider outsider status. So the people who read these novels, who are part of the community that the author is writing about, they have insider status, and they don't need those words translated for them, because there will, for the most part, there'll be a sense of understanding, right, around things that are cultural. But for readers who are part of a different culture or speak only English, that might pose a challenge for the reader. I think sometimes the argument is that it helps the English-speaking reader stay in the text, but it's one of those things that in my strong feelings about, my strong feeling is I don't want that as a reader. I don't want that as a reader because it helps me remember that my experience is not the center of everything. That sometimes I have to go put in the work to understand these different cultures and, different languages and things to be able to, as much as I can, immerse myself in the story. And I don't really feel like taking 15 seconds to look a word up on the internet really takes me that far into the story. But people will argue that, people will argue the other side. And I would be interested to hear your thoughts on this. Oh, the point that I forgot to make, that I was going to make, is as an insider in some cultures, sometimes the explanations take me out of the text. So the question is, who is the text written for? And do we have to, or do authors have to write for a specific reader to get published? If so, why? Why can't characters be unapologetically who they are without having to explain who they are? So the second part of my musing today revolves around the idea of authors of color, or authors from identities that have been marginalized in some way, teaching readers from other cultures about that culture. Okay, so, this kind of ties into the previous point, but in some ways is a little bit different. Should it be an expectation that authors of color, of queer authors, of authors from other countries explain or teach readers about said culture? And I think this is a thing that we have done in education. I think it is a thing that we've done in education because of the way we frame books that aren't by dead white guys that we read in class, right? Learn about other people so that you don't treat them badly, right? Well, what if we reframe that in education? What if we reframe that and say we're going to read books about people who are different than us so we can internalize their humanity in case we forget? Because sometimes people are assholes and they forget that people who are different from them are human. And people who are different from me are human. I have some more work to do on that one. That is a thing that came to me as I was getting ready to go to the doctor this afternoon. And it is not a fully formed thought yet, but is one that I wanted to put out there so that we could maybe start having discussions about how learning about other cultures from YA literature is different from internalizing the humanity of people who are different from us through the reading of young adult literature. Just a reminder that the tweet threads that started this musing are in the description box. Leave your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you there soon. Until then, I am the supplier wishing you happy reading. Don't forget to be awesome.